So on Rainbow Gravity, I know you have some questions.
Yeah, I love Rainbow Gravity.
Oh,
Not a question.
You
You want to start again? Brett, I know you have some questions.
I love Rainbow Gravity.
That's right. I went through it though. It's a really marvelous display of compositions that you have, and also just it's nice to hear the bass properly in the mix.
Oh, thank you.
You might be biased on that. You know.
I guess I am. I mean, I think when I write, if I'm going to write something for myself at least, and I try to leave space in there, and of course, the musicians on that particular project are very aware of production aspects of creating music. I don't mean that in a like a hey, let's make it snazzy. It's just that arranging really is what it comes down to. They're self-arranging as well as whatever I give them. Yeah, and they always normally most people make really great choices. So on this record, I was lucky.
Well, you're lucky that you play with those people and you were able to get them and they love what you're doing. So I mean,
I don't know if I ever told you this, but I had no intentions of doing the sort of superstar record with the guy that nobody knows, but they're all people. Yes, all people I've worked with in one capacity or another. Most everyone I've at least played some music with before, definitely made records with before. It was Jack DeJohnette actually who kind of said after I did my solo bass record, he thought, man, we ought to do something together. It was Jack. He actually offered and said, we ought to do something together because he was really loved that ambient thing. Yeah, so that's where Dark Pools came from, that particular song, and Cymbal Bells as well. I just wanted to have us play kind of free, but I had an idea like, okay, this is sort of what I wanted with this rolling cascading. I always call it Jack playing the washing machines. Like you could, and so that was the arrangement. It was like, Jack, be the washing machine, and I'm going to just kind of, swirl around you. And the other one, I said, let's
be the Woolite.
Exactly, I'm the Woolite in your life.
Yeah.
And the other song, well, we did a couple of songs, but the one that's not really a song, Cymbal Bells was really an attempt to exploit bass harmonics with these particular bells, the tuned bells that he was using. Yeah. So there was intention in the composition, but there was also freedom to just say it's more of a concept. Yeah. I love playing free, but I also just love having some instruction. Yeah. So those pieces kind of fell into that. And then there's obviously the really through composed stuff, So yeah. Which I think I still do best at that. I always feel personally that I start to second guess my free playing, and that's when you're in trouble in a sense in that world. You just sort of have
conscious thoughts coming into it.
Yeah, it's I don't think I've thought about this a lot. Like, where can you stop thinking but still have awareness? And what is that line between I'm thinking about something, I'm thinking about a place to go, as opposed to an awareness of what my options are. Yeah. Some of it bubbles up subconsciously. Yeah. So it's
What an amazing place to explore with Jack DeJohnette.
Yeah. I'm really lucky to do that. So that was great. And then just a number, and then that one's rich, and so is I have a new one that I'm just about done with.
Another full length.
Yeah. It's that's the one Randy's on. Who else is on? Bob Minzer. He's been an old friend of mine, so he's on both records.
And Bob was on. Yeah, I was going to say
he's on both.
I forget. He was. I'm forgetting the track that he was. Was it the first track?
He's on Sli-Fi. He's on
Sli-Fi. Right.
Yeah, Sequence of Events. You probably know better than me. I can.
Well, I never look at the feature part because it's usually like cut off my phone.
Yeah.
So I more so know the track names than exactly who's on everything.
What. Yeah.
I mean, my favorite track, we talked about this last time I interviewed you, was a balsamic reduction. I love that tune.
I really love that song too. I rarely play that one out live because I find it's an interesting one. I think it's some of those songs that you go, well, it's not hard, but it has so much subtlety that to pull it off live, you go, it's not quite there yet. Now maybe you work on it for a few weeks, or you get to tour with a band, you'll have it totally down. But I always think of that one whenever I do a show, and I go, I'd like to feed that into the mix. But And I definitely will, because there's something about that too. That was one of those ones that's, you know this feeling as a writer. Sometimes songs you have to really work at, and other ones they just kind of come to you, like the whole shape of it, and you don't get written into a corner. And that's to me is like, wow, that's great, because I was a comp major at Berkeley. I played bass obviously, but I don't know if I really learned anything there.
Were you arranging there as well?
Yeah, I was arranging and composition, so that's always been critical. And if anything, that has played into my production career, because I just think of production as sort of another word for arrangement, and leaving spaces and understanding the overtone series. Really comes down to that in a sense. Everything kind of comes down to what's happening at the top as opposed to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You can make a very big sounding record that doesn't have 5,000 parts if you arrange those voices and sounds correctly.
That makes sense, and that's a pretty good description of that record. I would say, because it's. I was listening to it, and it's like everything seems to be exactly where it should be to support the musical idea that you have in mind.
I appreciate that, and that's definitely was the goal.
Yeah.